Hello and welcome to Journey to explore fascinating destinations around the world through the eyes of passionate travelers. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're virtually traveling to one of the world's most spectacular archaeological sites, Petra Jordan. Joining us is Nahid, who recently returned from this incredible destination. Nahid, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex. I'm really excited to share my experience of Petra with your listeners.
Well, we're equally excited to hear about it. Petra is often called the Rose City because of the color of the stone. Could you start by telling us about your first impressions when you arrived?
Absolutely. My first sight of Petra was actually through the Sick, this narrow gorge that winds for about a kilometer between towering cliffs. The anticipation builds as you walk through this natural corridor, and then suddenly there it is. The treasury, or Al-Khazne, carved into the pink sandstone cliff. It literally takes your breath away. The scale and detail of this 2,000-year-old facade is stunning, especially when you realize it was carved by hand.
That sounds incredible. The treasury is definitely the most iconic image of Petra that we all recognize. Did you get there at a particular time of day?
I did. I made a point to arrive early in the morning, around 7 a.m., before most of the tour groups. The morning light on the rose-colored stone is magical, and having that moment of relative quiet to take in the treasury was worth the early wake-up. I definitely recommend this approach to anyone planning to visit.
That's a great tip. Now, most people know the treasury from photos or movies like Indiana Jones, but Petra is actually a massive archaeological site. What else did you explore beyond this famous facade?
You're absolutely right, Alex. Petra is huge, about 60 square kilometers. Beyond the treasury, I hiked up to the monastery, or Aldair, which is even larger, but less visited because it requires climbing about 800 steps. The view from up there across the mountains is spectacular. I also explored the royal tombs, the Great Temple, and the amazing street of facades with all its carved tombs. One of my favorite spots was the High Place of Sacrifice, another climb, but the panoramic views of Petra and the surrounding landscape were unforgettable.
It sounds like there's a lot of hiking involved. How physically demanding is a visit to Petra?
It's definitely a site where you'll get your steps in. The main trail through Petra is about 8 kilometers round trip, mostly on flat terrain. But if you want to see the monastery or the High Place of Sacrifice, you're looking at steep climbs. I wore good hiking shoes, brought plenty of water, and took my time. There's also options to ride horses, donkeys, or camels for parts of the journey, though I prefer to walk to take everything in at my own pace.
And what about the local culture? Did you get to interact with the Bedouin people who have historical ties to Petra?
Yes, that was another highlight. The local Bedouin community has a deep connection to Petra. Many work as guides or sell handcrafted souvenirs. I had a wonderful guide named Mahmoud who shared fascinating stories about Petra's history and Bedouin traditions. I also had tea in a cave cafe run by a Bedouin family, which gave me a glimpse into their way of life. They're incredibly hospitable people with rich cultural traditions.
That sounds like such a meaningful cultural exchange. For our listeners who might be planning their own visit, any practical advice you'd like to share?
Definitely. First, plan to spend at least 2 full days at Petra if possible. There's simply too much to see in one day. Second, consider hiring a local guide. They provide cultural and historical context that really enhances the experience. Third, visiting during spring or fall offers the best weather. And finally, don't miss Petra by night. 3 nights a week, they light the path to the treasury with thousands of candles. It's a completely different and magical experience.
Nahid, this has been fascinating. I feel like I've gotten a real sense of what makes Petra such a special destination. Before we wrap up, is there one memory from your trip that stands out above all others?
There was this moment at sunset when I found a quiet spot overlooking the valley. The changing light made the stone shift through every shade from deep rose to burnt orange. A local Bedouin was playing a traditional flute nearby, and the haunting melody echoed off the ancient walls. In that moment, I felt connected to both the incredible human achievement of this place and its timeless natural beauty. It was profound, One of those travel experiences that stays with you forever.
What a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing your journey to Petra with us today, Nahid.
Thank you for having me, Alex. I hope I've inspired some of your listeners to experience the wonder of Petra for themselves.